Hi, Dina here. Dog's real barky tonight, so I apologize in advance. So we have a question tonight that is coming in. It has a lot of different parts to it, so this might take a little while. And basically, I'll give you a little rundown that I got. So this was someone who emailed the website, which was kind enough to draw to my attention is probably a better way to go about readings for you guys, because I don't really use Twitter. I just started putting this stuff up just in an effort to kind of get this out and start doing this. And Twitter's new to me, and there's a character count on it, so it'd be really hard to ask a specific elaborate question with background on that platform. So I think really to do this, we can have a conversation on Twitter. We can handle it that way, or if we do things live some night or things like that. But for readings that are more in depth, that are about important things, I really I think my email that's on the website, which is littlewidow@icloud.com. I think that's the way we're gonna have to go about questions, really. So this is a man who is on his second marriage. He has a small child. I don't know how young exactly, but he said small. And I did do his chart. I just like to do that for backup. Not that, whatever, maybe I'm cheating, I don't know. I like to see what's going on, because that's kind of how the conversation started. It started, asking me an astrological question, actually, saying, is there any reason there'd be anything in my chart right now that would have Leos all over me? Here's my situation. I'm married and all these Leos are throwing themselves at me all of a sudden. And I was like, well, I've never heard of that, where that something would be sign specific like that. I mean, there are times when you should be more magnetic to the opposite sex. Like right now, this Venus retrograde that just went direct, it's stationed on my sun. I should be catnip right now, and here I am on a Saturday night making a YouTube video. So, whatever. But it was interesting, and this is why I'm mentioning this. I never saw a correlation before. I never really thought they would be, but I looked at his progress chart, and his progress 7th house cusp is in Leo right now. And, it's been there for a while, though, so this shouldn't be a new thing. But it is interesting to me, because my progressed 7th house cusp progressed into Cancer recently. And it's still at 50 minutes, so it's new. But since it's been in Cancer, the two men that I have, the two people that I've kind of hung out with, one is a Cancer, and the other one's progressed sun just entered Cancer. It's exactly conjunct where my 7th house is. So it's an interesting theory. That said, he must be putting out some vibe that he's looking. That's going to be my instinct there. He said there's been trouble at home, and there has been for a while. This isn't new. What's new is that the home situation is not improving, and apparently he really, really is smitten with one of these Leos. So I don't know if he's taken it as far as cheating yet, or not. But he basically wants to know what is going to happen between him and his wife, what is going to happen with him and this woman, and then some advice, which is a lot, right? That's we're going to be here for 20 stinking minutes, which I don't have anything else to do. So, you turn it off if you get bored. So for starters, I did smudge the cards off camera again, because I'm learning. And while I was doing it, the Hangman popped out. We're going to use the Santa Muerte Book of the Dead deck again tonight. I actually have duplicates of two of my other favorite decks that I put off buying for a while because they're expensive. I have them coming so that we can use those too, because I mentioned how I don't want to use things that I use for myself for readings. So I'm using this deck again. And everything tastes so weird today. I'm really stuffed up. So this is the Hangman. This is actually a nice version of the card. The Hangman popped out, so I don't know. Let's see where the rest of the reading goes. Let's just keep that in the back of our minds. when sometimes when a card pops out, some people use it as, you know, like the card to signify the person we're asking about. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to I'm just going to go with it. The Hangman would be someone in a period of contemplation, though. I mean, I'm not surprised that it popped out. Maybe I should use it as him. We'll see. So we're going to, and I did say, you know, do you want a time frame on this? Because, like, I find that helpful, you know? Like, I don't ever say, like, what's going to happen between me and, you know, my guy that I like. I don't really just say that in general, because I feel like, you know, what's going to happen? Eventually someone's going to die or someone's going to leave the other person, right? I mean, one of those things are going to happen eventually, you know? So I don't love open-ended things like that. But he was like, no, ever. Like, he's basically, like, I guess it's at the point where he's really trying to decide what woman he wants to be with. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna do it like that. We're not saying, like, what's gonna happen in, like, 6 months between him and his wife. We're gonna say what's gonna happen between him and his wife. I mean, obviously we're not looking for some kind of, like, deathbed thing. We're looking for the overall vibe of their relationship. We want to know what is going to happen to their relationship. And we're not looking for, like, separation by old age or something like that. We're looking for either mending or severing of ties, basically. And he might mean forever, what's going to happen forever, but he doesn't really mean forever. And we know that. We know he doesn't mean forever. He means, like, you know, he doesn't mean what's going to happen in 20 years. He means what's going to happen, you know, while I still have this piece over here that I'm interested in. So, anyway, so we want to know that. And I'm just going to get some, you know, I'm just going to shuffle. I like to shuffle while I talk. So the other thing, anyway, when I was talking about his chart, so I looked at it, and I mean, there's definite marriage trouble there. Like, if he didn't tell me, I would have been like, oh, are you getting divorced? I mean, like, his progressed Saturn is so I mentioned that progressed 7th house cusp in Leo. His progressed Saturn is literally conjunct that. It's approaching exactitude. That's pretty major, I think. I mean, I could live really long. I could live to be 200, and that won't ever happen in my chart. Saturn moves really slow. I mean, it could only really happen in certain, you know, it would have to be born in exactly the right place. And then meanwhile, he did provide me his wife's birth time as well, and she's getting pummeled, like, left and right. I mean, she looks like she might be super depressed. So I don't, you know, I think if you're looking for things to ease up, based on the astrology the two of you guys have going on, I definitely don't see anything easing up in the immediate future, whether you stay together or not. That said, I mean, I don't know how small your child is. And just speaking from personal, well, I mean, it's not my personal experience, but just friends who have little kids, like, that puts a strain on things. You know, like, the happiest couple I knew, long-term couple anyway, you know, I mean, when they had their first kid, like, it scared the shit out of me and my husband to the point where we were like, I don't think we can do this. Like, I mean, we were scared. Like, and they're like a rock, those two. So you know, it's hard. I mean, and they weren't together that long from what he said, because he gave me a timeline of, like, their relationship. They weren't together that long before they had a kid. So I don't know, you know, I mean, maybe it's just I'm not saying it's a blip, because Saturn and there's Pluto going on. None of those things move fast, especially not by progression. So I'm not saying it's a blip. I'm just saying it doesn't mean it's forever, because it's terrible now. There's my piece. You know, my house is literally 85% glass, so I don't throw stones. But I just putting that out there. All right, so we want to know what's going to happen between him and his wife. We are not looking for things that are going to happen when they're on their deathbed. We're looking in the way more foreseeable future. All right. upside down again today. I only do this when you guys are here. Jeez. Do something to me, baby. I'm telling you, you got me all upside down. All right. Two of Wands. It's a little gentleman with two guns in this deck. The Six of Wands. It's a nice card. That's a, I mean, she doesn't look so nice. She's got a Sith, but the Victory card. Seven of Wands. Oh, that's a really pretty card. Looks like fall. That's what it looked like before there was snow everywhere. All right. Foundation of Judgment. Which is cool. King of Wands. I will put a picture up on the website of this as well. Ace of Swords. Page of Pentacles is before us. None of these are exit cards, that's for sure. Knight of Swords. The Two of Cups, that's a beautiful card. It's not even horrible in this deck. The Four of Cups. And, oh my God, this card is upside down. You heard me the other night. I said, like, I do not read reversals. I get super holy crap when a card is upside down, because it literally happens to me like once a year. Like, I take that super seriously. This is upside down. It is the Magician upside down. I don't even know what to say about this. This really just twisted me right up. Wow. All right. Okay, so the Magician upside down is the outcome. Well, that is interesting, that's for sure. All right. I can't believe it. See what happens? Jinxed myself the other day. Man. I mean, that's stinking pivotal. All right, so first of all, just a little background, and I'm sure it'll be repetitive as readings go, but when a major arcana card comes up versus a minor, so that's like the suited cards, basically, you know, would be the minors. They're a little more malleable. A major arcana card is, it has a more dominant energy. You know, like the other day we did a reading and we said this is the 9, you know, and the 9s refer back to the Hermit. So I feel like the Magician is kind of like, he's like, all the aces are kind of like under him, you know. And we do have an Ace of Swords sort of as the crowning card in this reading. So it's just like a kind of an energy that's sort of like overarching everything. Would be one of, I mean, I would say good. I mean, I don't hate any aces, and I don't hate swords all the time in relationships. I think that they can be there's good communication at the very least, but maybe the communication in this instance, based on what we know too, is like pissy or shitty, or maybe it's a new form of communication that they don't. I don't know. This isn't great. So I mean, what it looks like to me is, you know, they're this couple, maybe the relationship. I mean, there are a lot of wands showing like where we were, or like where, like the foundation of things, kind of. So I would say that maybe like they had a relationship that was based primarily on passion a little bit more than anything else, possibly. I mean, again, I don't know them, so I can't say that, but that's what that sort of looks to me, the fact that they're symbolized by the Two of Wands. Or maybe they're maybe they're impulsive people. That's a possibility as well. But I'm inclined to say that they are people who like, this was primarily like a fairly short, like maybe under 2-year, you know, 3-year even, who knows, courtship. Maybe it was a lot of like physical stuff happening. And then, you know, then they had a kid. I don't know. Things get tricky sometimes. So Judgment is the card at the bottom, and that is the foundation of the matter. I mean, I don't tend to like Judgment in terms of like making a choice like that. A lot of people do equate it with an actual judgment, but I don't tend to look at the card that way. I tend to look at Judgment as like a rebirth or a resurrection. I do think he said this was his second marriage, though. So perhaps that is the foundation. Perhaps that is what Judgment means here. That this was kind of like their new, their new second shot at things. I don't know if it was her second marriage or not too. In any case, so in the near future, in the immediate future, I don't see a ton of change. I mean, the thing that's most immediately at play next is the Page of Pentacles. Pages are similar to the Aces, but they're a very immature energy. It doesn't mean that, I mean, this could definitely change. We know the woman's a Leo, so I don't see the Page of Pentacles as her. So that's not there. I'm inclined to say that maybe some practical concerns with the child might take the forefront in the immediate future between these two. And I don't see anything representing a rapid movement. I mean, the Knight of Swords, yeah, possibly. It's possible. But for where it is, that's not what I'm going with. What's really throwing me off is the Magician upside down. The reverse Magician is just, so the Magician is, he's card number 1, right? He follows the Fool. He is, he is the manifestation. In a lot of decks, he has the infinity symbol over his head. He creates his own reality. He manifests what he wants. He brings all of the elements together and gets things flowing and gets things moving. So when that's reversed, my inclination, I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen between them, to be honest, but I don't think it's gonna be his choice, is where I'm going with this. I mean, I think he thinks that this is all his choice, but I don't know that it is. If it was the Magician upright, I would say, like, the advice would be, I mean, we didn't ask about advice, really. We asked about what was going to happen. But if it was the Magician upright, I would see that as a man putting his own interests first and manifesting the life that he wants at all costs, manipulating the situation. The Magician does kind of equate to Mercury and Gemini. That is duplicitous. There is frequently, so I could see maybe some lying going on, two-sidedness. But I would see it as ultimately doing whatever you wanted despite who it hurt. However, upside down, all of that energy is blocked and locked. And again, I don't typically read reversals, so maybe there is even some kind of meaning to that is more sinister than I even know, because this never happens to me. But we're not, we're going to go with what we have. I am going to say, though, that to me, this says that the situation can still go either way. It's not set in stone. I mean, and again, we talked about probabilities on Friday. Obviously, nothing is really that set in stone, so who knows? But the instinct that I'm getting is that this isn't his choice, and he thinks that it is. So there's that. Then we're gonna do his relationship with this Leo, and I'm gonna put it right on top of this spread with his wife. So we want to know now what is gonna happen between him and this new woman of his. What their relationship is really gonna be. And I guess I could also see that with the Magician reversed on the other one. What is their relationship really gonna be? Sometimes when I do a reading that isn't on a super tight timeline, so if I ask a question, I'm like, what's gonna happen this week? I always read the two future cards kind of in a bit of a combination with each other, kind of feeding off of each other. But I also go back to the traditional way those cards are read. I mean, and that is my primary draw with that, where I do this will be the next couple days, and this will be towards the end of the week, and how it actually wraps up in the time frame that I talked about. But if I'm not asking about a specific time frame, I tend to read them a little more in tandem than I otherwise would. And so we talked about practical concerns, or maybe concerns with the baby trumping what his desire to go somewhere else maybe. So perhaps, even though there's not a ton of pentacles here, maybe that is really what the Magician reversed is trying to tell us. Maybe it's saying like, you can't go anywhere, buddy. I mean, do you have the money to go anywhere? Do you have, can you pay child support? How is this gonna work practically? This really could be someone's will to manifest. It might be a moot point. That could be what the Magician is telling us here. All right, so, but this is this guy and the Leo. I don't know Leo's birthday. I just know she's a Leo. And, all right. Magician first. I can't believe it. If we get any of the same cards in the same position, we're going to assume that it's really trying to tell him something and giving him advice. So, the Three of Pentacles, Three of Swords, Jesus, Six of Cups, and these are just the Rider-Waite deck, so if you're watching this, you probably know what they look like already. The Emperor, the Magician, holy crap. Well, there's your traditional depiction of the card then, being we just talked about it. That is in the past position. The Sun is above. That's always a nice card to see. The Wheel of Fortune is before him. He has a Sagittarius rising, and Jupiter just entered Sagittarius. Eight of Wands. The Six of Pentacles. Two of Wands, which is the card representing him and his wife's relationship that we got earlier. And here it is in he's worried about that. And the Knight of Pentacles is the outcome. So we did say what was going to happen in their relationship. What I see here, so the Three of Pentacles, I would assume they met through work. I don't know if she's getting over a heartbreak and that's what the Three of Swords is saying, or if it's just saying that someone's gonna get hurt by this. It's in the environment of thinking about someone getting hurt, or if he's hurt right now because of how his relationship at home is, and that's kind of what's prompting them to get together. The foundation of the matter, and the Sun on top, I can see that like there is affection here. I mean, she's a Leo. Leo is the Sun. And he's married. It's this whole the order that is here. The Magician being behind him, I would say that in that position being, we got that as the outcome and the other. To me, this is telling us that like his days of being able to just make whatever he wants happen are behind him right now. And that's not the case. However, the Wheel of Fortune in the near future is a really nice card. It's a blessing card, I would say. In this case, being Sagittarius has just, like I said, moved into Jupiter. I would say that, that is the luck of the draw card. In the one hand, it means everything's up in the air in the near future and anything could happen. But it also means, it does give him a little more, it gives him a chance, So this is what's happening between them. I would consider that to be a positive card. I do see a little bit of movement with the Eight of Wands. Maybe I don't know if he travels for work. Maybe he met her traveling. Maybe she lives in another town. The outcome between them is the Knight of Pentacles. It's not like, oh my God, this is my soulmate. Like, the Knight of Pentacles is like, kind of like slow and steady progress. It's not a card I associate with marriage. It's not a card I associate with moving in with someone. I could see you getting to know them really well and maybe having sex at some point, but I don't see like a long-term relationship being we asked about just forever from the Knight of Pentacles. That's not like a holy shit, this is it card for me. Nothing in there looked like, goddamn, this is my soulmate. Let me fuck up my whole house and my home for this. But that's not, I don't know. I'm not saying that, they're not gonna get divorced. Anyway, so now we want advice. I'm gonna use I felt the Rider-Waite for some reason for this guy. So I'm gonna use that for our advice. So we wanna know what he should do, right? And I guess we wanna know what he should do in the fairly near future, because obviously this is weighing on him that he had all these questions and that we're doing this. So, what should he do? How should he proceed? Towards his greatest good and greatest happiness, I would say. That's always something we want to know, right? And preferably if there's a way that does the least amount of harm where he could be equally happy. I mean, that's how I always tend to try to give advice, you know, where all parties involved can come out the least scathed. So what should he do moving forward? Like we're there already. What should he do? Nine of Wands. It's a guy kind of pausing. Temperance. Balance your shit. Six of Wands is crossing. The foundation of the matter is the World. World's a tricky card. Sometimes it means this is it, it's over. Sometimes it means, hey, dude, you have everything you ever wanted right here. You know, it's fulfillment, it's completion, it's the beat. You know, it's the end of the cycle, and then the Fool is the beginning of the cycle. Behind, I love having the Three of Swords in the past position. I will say, however, this guy in the 9 is looking squarely towards the Three of Swords, and sometimes I do take that into consideration. Like, in general, I read this position right here as the past, but when the guy in the picture representing the dude is looking like straight at it, sometimes I'm like, could be actually what's coming up and not actually over, but it'd be nice to think it was over, because the Three of Swords is just really, no one likes that card. That's a sad card. Above him is the Six of Cups, which came up in the reading about, actually came up in both of our readings so far. It was standing in his way in the other one. So I would say that it's possible that, I like the Six of Cups. I think it's a really sweet card. And that's kind of the energy hanging over the whole thing. And Three of Pentacles is before him. Crap, that's the card that, this is tricky. Oh man, this is a tricky reading, because this could either represent the relationship with the girl, because that's the card we got to represent them last time, or it could mean work on your relationship. Nine of Cups, there's that smug fat guy I was telling you about the other day. Now that is telling me this guy he's 9 and a 9. So the lovers, obviously, duh, somebody has a choice to make. Page of Wands, oh my goodness, this is all hinges on the Ace of Swords. Damn, this is really tough. I don't even know what to say here. Yeah, this is really interesting to me. So like we really have, I mean, when you look at, if you just distill everything down to the suits, this is such a long thing. I mean, is YouTube even gonna let me put this on? It's like 28 minutes. If you just look at the numerology and like the numerical values of these things, we have 9s in both positions representing him. We've had an Ace and the Magician, the 1s, come up in the outcome twice. We've had, you know, and we have like the 3 behind and before. One is Swords, one is, you know, Pentacles, but there's a 3 flanking both sides of this, and then there's a 6. There's like 3, the lovers are here too. We have 3 6s in this reading. This is really interesting to me, and I love this. So there's 2 ways to go about this. This is always the case with things, right? If I didn't think that he met this woman at work, and if this card didn't come up last time to represent them, I would be taking this as advice to work on your marriage and restart communication, right? I mean, the card looks bleak, and it's not like a love card. But the Ace of Swords are the start of new ideas. They're fresh ideas. It's a restart of communication, and were it not for that 3 of Pentacles in the other reading, this is how I would read this advice column, or advice, you know, spread. Even though he's looking towards the 3 of Swords, I thought this is behind them when I put it down. My instinct would have been to say, look, dude, you know, this is, you have everything you want here. Like, work on it, reestablish communication, go to counseling, you know, work on it. That's the advice. The only reason that I think it's tricky is because of that pesky Three of Pentacles that represented them last time. It might be saying leave the heartache behind. You know, obviously take your time with it because Temperance is there and everything else. I mean, and in this case, the world could be like, you know, things have ended here, and you know, cut. Ace cuts too. I mean, it cuts through all the bullshit. I mean, I don't know how much bullshit's going on. Like, that's the other advice. I mean, that would be the only other way I would read this, is go with this relationship and cut the bullshit. But if we take them as three entirely separate readings, where we're not going to make that correlation to the three in the other reading, then to me, I would say that this means going to marriage counseling and reestablishing communication. And I think that refers back to and when we think about the Page of Pentacles that was in the reading about their relationship, I think that maybe refers back to the idea that we have a child involved. And that's kind of how I see this. I mean, it could go either way on the advice column. From what I could tell, I mean, so much obviously is subject to change when you're asking for these open-ended timelines like that. I mean, we're saying like forever. I mean, I don't see, I mean, asking something like that, I don't see the Knight of Pentacles as being enough to sustain a relationship. So like I see more like you're not, even if you want to move, I think you're stuck in the Magician upside down. I kind of see that more than I see the Knight of Pentacles going anywhere. I'm not gonna say he's not gonna, you know, cheat on his wife if he hasn't already. I don't know, but I don't see that being like, the be all end all, or where you know, where his journey for love stops. But sometimes we just need somebody to get us out of our rut. I mean, just, she might be the next one and not the one. Hey, my nose is getting all red and everything. Histamines. So that's what we got tonight. That was really long. I hope that was somewhat helpful, sir. Sorry it was so confusing. But I kind of think you're stuck, to be honest, as I'm thinking about it a little bit more. But I mean, the cards don't look like, I don't think the Magician probably would be really sad if the Magician lost his power, wouldn't he? I'd be sad. Like if I could just, yeah, I don't know. I mean, they didn't look like sorrowful cards to me. They didn't look like we're fixing this reconciliation cards either. But I mean, sadly, that is the state of marriage in a lot of places, that like, you know, you stay for the kids. That is my instinct as to what that was work on it, get counseling, reestablish communication. You're going to end up staying for the kids. That is my thought. It could also mean, though, that this decision is completely out of your hands. And maybe he wouldn't be upset about it at all. Maybe it's like, it could also be a passive-aggressive way of getting what you really wanted. I don't know if this guy's passive-aggressive or not, but if he was, it could be. It could be like the Magician knows what he wants, but he's too much of a sissy to do it, and someone's going to do it for him. Either his wife, or, well, I mean, obviously it would be his wife would have to do it for him, unless he's cheating and he gets caught. I mean, I don't see anything like traumatic. I guess it wouldn't be traumatic, though, if it's what you really wanted. So that's the other possibility to what's going to happen between them. It could be like he's going to really passive-aggressively get what he wants. But, yeah, the whole thing was very ambiguous, and that's what we have tonight. I hope that was somewhat entertaining, at least. All right. Good night, guys. Thank you.